something I've wanted to talk about for a really long time, and it's for sure something that I've discussed with a few people in my life, although not to the level that I want to, I suppose, talk about here. Um, it's just the lack of intimacy in male friendships, and it's for sure something that is, you know, it's a very popular topic of discussion. Um, there's so many different takes of it, right? There's men are doing it to themselves. It's a consequence of a patriarchal uh, culture, right? Society. Um, and I think it's very incorrect to sort of base it uh, off of just one thing, right? It's a consequence of a culture that conditions men to fear intimacy, and it's really weird. Um, well, really, I think cultures in general are weird, right? When when you consider what it means to be a man, just as an overall topic, it is just so convoluted. It's something that doesn't necessarily make sense to me. Um, like calling myself a man feels weird because I don't identify might be the wrong word. I don't associate myself with the aspects of being a man that I see around me. Um, the traits that I view is anger and aggression and lack of intimacy and lack of emotional intelligence and um, it's just very weird to exist surrounded by men that don't even know themselves to any degree. I mean, male friendships by far are very confusing. Um, Growing up throughout school, like high school, uh, I primarily, well, no, I only had friendships with women um, because I guess to me it was easier. Um, they were more understanding and supportive, and I wasn't in a time in my life where I felt that I needed friends. I suppose I don't know. It's weird. Um, but whenever I arrived in college, my freshman year again, I didn't really go out of my way, but my towards the end of my freshman year, I became friends with a couple guys, and my sophomore year, we began living together as roommates, and throughout the last 3 odd some years, I've developed such a strong um, affection for my friends, and it's something that is never reciprocated, and it's such a frustrating thing to project so much love onto somebody and not receive anything back, not even recognition or like the amount of times I have expressed my absolute love and concern and care and thankfulness for having these people in my life and going throughout the really confusing um, period of my life of becoming an adult and becoming mature and going through the phases of college and relationships and just everything that life has to offer. Um, it's very confusing because there's just nothing there. I mean, they're the closest people in my life. They are my rock very often, I struggle very much with isolation and depression and not feeling like I'm enough, and very realistically generic things that come with being a young adult, especially like in our um, you know, culture, society, whatever you want to call it. And they have been people that I can fall back on even when they don't realize it. I feel like it's something that's very common with men in general, right? And a lot of people know this. The way that at least young men, well, I think men in general, show affection is through bantering and insulting and being mean and throwing around jokes. And um, again, being new to male friendships, it was something that was jarring, I suppose, at first, and with time became very natural. And I found myself doing it so often without understanding, not without understanding why, but without acknowledging why. Um, and we'll sit there for hours in call or in person at dinner, just laying on each other and insulting each other. And there's no end to it. There's no uh, acknowledgement of the things that sort of stick with people, right? It's just frustrating. I think it's like the only time I've ever had a friend say they care about me is when they're intoxicated. And why do you need a substance to tell me that you love me? I don't understand why you're so afraid of intimacy. And I suppose it is that I do understand. They've been conditioned that affection and intimacy towards other men is something that is a thing to be afraid of. Um, and it hurts. I mean, it hurts so profoundly that it feels so isolating. And that's the topic, I suppose, of what I'm talking about is male isolation is so prevalent, and they I say they, it feels odd, but they are doing it to themselves, and it hurts. I mean, it hurts me so much. I have so much love to give to the people around me, and to not receive anything back. It, I mean, it just hurts my heart so much. And, but I feel like the amount that I hurt is so minuscule compared to the momentous amount of pain that I see my friends experiencing from their isolation and lack of affection and lack of intimacy, and the way they seek it out in women and in lust and in addictions is it is so heartbreaking to see a culture of men that are so afraid of expressing how much love they have for their friends. And I think slowly there's been a sort of shift where men are more willing to be vocal about how much they care, but it is not something that is shown on a daily basis. And right now it's making me think further of the lack of physical affection that men have with each other. Um, because being gay, right? Like it's this weird subject where I love you, no homo. Like it's just silly, when you think about it. And it leads to them seeking out purely physical affection from the women around them, and it leads to not being able to create long lasting, fulfilling relationships with these people because they're incapable of providing the affection that they need from within themselves. They're incapable of loving themselves because they're not able to express the love for the people that they actually care so much about. And hate seeing them like that, you know? And I, I don't know. I suppose this is just me venting, right? Like there, it's a thing where I have expressed these things to my friends. I have told them how deeply I care about them and love them. I've said I love you, and I think the most painful thing is they're incapable of saying it back. I remember vividly, the first time I really told my friends I love them and care about them so much, and there's nothing back, and it's like really, like there's all this stuff we've really been through and talked about and discussed, and how much I've poured into you and how much you've confided in me. It's like, is there really nothing there? Like, um, God, dude, it sucks. It really sucks, man. Um, I guess that's all. I guess I just wanted to talk to myself about that. I don't, maybe I just leave this unlisted or something. I don't want this to be a thing that goes out there. I have no desire for um, people to necessarily see this at a vast scale. I suppose it's therapeutic, right? Because in a way, I'm just talking to myself, talking to a camera, and it feels nice because I have no desire to really talk to a person about this or it in a position of like a therapist or something. Because to me, this is a thing where it feels like it's almost introspective to really think about, am I okay with accepting the way that things are with my male friendships, or is it something that I need to fight and beg for just to know that they feel like they're enough? I have so much love for myself and so much patience for myself and so much understanding for the things that I need and the things that I can provide for myself. And I recognize that my friends lack that, and it is, and maybe in a way that sounds pretentious, but it's really not. I just feel so much care, and it just sucks.